back to the Pennsylvania Railroad Middle Division. Today we're going to talk about two expansion projects on the model railroad. First is staging representing Selinsgrove, so that when trains head out on the S&L branch out of downtown Lewistown, they have a place to go. And perhaps more importantly, we're starting on the area south of Lewistown, the south side of Lewistown, where the Furnace Branch siding served more than a half a dozen entities. Unfortunately, these were all lost during the 1972 Hurricane Agnes flood, but in the period we're modeling, they were all there. So ahead, we'll show you the construction progress as well as the plans for the ultimate look of the areas. We'll start by looking at a map of the Pennsylvania Railroad around Lewistown. Here's the main line. To the west, you have Pittsburgh coming through Lewistown, and heading east, you get towards Harrisburg. At Lewistown Junction, you have a station, and this is the beginning of the Lewistown Secondary, which crosses the Juniata River, runs through downtown, and then at this point it splits and becomes the S&L that goes out to Selinsgrove, or the Milroy Secondary, which goes out to Milroy. I'm modeling the Milroy Secondary and just the very beginning of the S&L. So this project is going to include staging so that trains have a place to go for storage when they're not on the layout itself. Then you have this fish hook that comes down and runs through South Lewistown. This is called Furnace Branch siding, and there were a number of industries on it. This is the current layout with the section of the Lewistown Secondary running through town. It crosses the Juniata River, runs down through the middle of a street, past the freight station, and then through S&L, the S&L line out to Selinsgrove, and turns this way to go up to Milroy. And the beginning of Furnace Branch siding is right here. So far I'm representing the Franciscus Company, Man Edge Tool Company, the freight station, Menino's Bananas, M.W. Brandt, the Hoffman Company, and the Texas Company. With the addition, I'm adding this fish hook, which will include all of the industries that were along that line. That includes Sun Oil Company, J. Krentzman, Lewistown Ice and Storage, Lewis Sitkin, Pennsylvania Edison, American Gas Company, Overhead Door, and Cluett Peabody and Company. Here's a Sanborn map, and Sanborn maps show individual buildings within a city, and we start with a bridge crossing the Kish Creek. Then there are two sidings here. One goes through the Krentzman Junk Company and back to Lewistown Laundry, and then the second one goes into Lewistown Ice and Storage, and here's the main plant. And out here they have a coal yard. Here's the bridge over the Kish Creek. I don't have any photos of the Sun Oil Company, but just across the bridge, it looks like they just had a tank and a storage building and no siding, which means that they had fittings to unload tank cars right along the right-of-way. Here are the Sanborns that show Krentzman Junkyard, Lewistown Ice and Storage, and Lewistown Dry Cleaning. And here's an aerial photo. Here's the Krentzman Junkyard, and you can't see the front, but this is Lewistown Ice and Storage, and a second building of theirs, and then this is the Lewistown Laundry. Here's a front view of the Lewistown Ice and Storage. Next down the line is Juniata Valley Gas and Oil. This building, which was part of it, is now a church. The tanks are long gone, but you can still find the concrete bases are still out there. Although not shown on the Sanborn maps, Lewis-Sitkin was the next stop. Aerial photos do show that he had a private siding, and they were a junk dealer as well. They loaded gondola cars probably to send up to Standard Steel. And here's an aerial image from 1957. And here's an aerial from 2019. The tanks are gone, but the building is still there. Next is the overhead door company. They did not have a private siding, but they had numerous bays where cars could be loaded and unloaded. Here's a 1950s era photo, and the track went right down between these two buildings here. Here's a 2016 aerial photo. It's no longer overhead door company, but the buildings are in the same configuration, just missing the railroad. And then at the end of the line, it's listed as various manufacturers. This was originally the Lewistown Silk Mill, then it was Cluett Peabody and Company, and today it is home to Asher's Chocolates. And here's an aerial image from 2016. My day started by framing out the benchwork which will be supporting the extension for staging for Selinsgrove. That's what you see on the lower level. The upper level will be discussed at a later time, but I had to stop the framing on the upper level for the time being so that I could get the plywood sub-road bed installed at the back of the lower level. Sticking with benchwork frame out, this is the beginning of the furnace branch siding in South Lewistown. Here's that first section of furnace branch siding with the plywood sub-road bed installed. That's enough area for the Lewistown Ice and Storage Company, J. Krentzman, the laundry, and Lewis-Sitkin, the junkyard back behind that. The gap off to the right is where the Kish Creek will flow between Lewistown Ice and Storage and the Man Edge Tool Company. More towards the end of the day, I got the plywood sub-road bed installed for the Selinsgrove staging area. For the upper level, I am going to have to create a removable section to allow access to the electrical sub-panel. I didn't quite get all of the framing done for the upper level as my drill's battery went dead, but I was pretty tired anyway working out in the heat, which was in the 90 degrees, cutting wood outside. The top level now has the plywood sub-road bed cut and fitted, and it is not yet screwed down so that I have access to underneath to install LED lighting, the track, and scenery.